Hello, everyone, and welcome to Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name, as always, is Dread. You know how I know that? Because it's my name. I just let you in on a secret. Hello, how y'all doing? All right, we're gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna react to a video by Big Fry TV called "The Gaming Industry is Being Destroyed Right Now." Dot dot dot. Wonder what the dot 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 is. It's probably the rest of the video, as he's probably gonna talk during it. So we're gonna react to this video. I'm gonna share whatever knowledge and thoughts I have about whatever's going to be said. I haven't checked it out yet. I don't know. If I seem underwhelmed, I'm just starting to get a little bit tired. That's all. It's kind of late in my day. Early in everybody else's day, almost 8 a.m. But still, I thought we'd do this. And yeah, so I think we're going to. I know I'm going to. Are you going to come on the journey with me? As always, I appreciate your views so much. Don't forget to leave a comment because I do read all the comments and I react and reply to as many as I possibly can. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel especially, consider subscribing to the channel, ringing the bell for notifications. We love to have conversations here, and you are welcome to get involved. Whether you're a subscriber or not, but subscribing helps the channel out, and that's always 2 thumbs up in my book. So let's get into the gaming industry is being destroyed right now by Big Fry TV. Oh no, I don't think Big Fry TV is destroying the. I don't mean Big Fry TV is destroying the gaming industry right now. Dot dot dot. But yeah, you get the idea. Let's go.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to sense just a major shift happening in the gaming space right now. Look,
Actually, I'm kind of hungry, Big Fry. Maybe it's because your name is Big Fry. I'm starting to get hungry for French fries. It's 8 in the morning, though. I don't know where I can get French fries right now. That's kind of a depressing thought. 8 in the morning and there's no French fries in the place. I feel like that should be like a sad song sung at a bar at 8 in the morning. Is there 24-hour bars? There must be. Of course, there are, Dread. Just not in my small town. All right.
looking around, you're probably seeing headline after headline of company-wide layoffs, studio closures, restructurings, and it's appearing to be some heavy doom and gloom. Now, I know this isn't specifically a gaming thing, as the entirety of the world economy is struggling ever since that one random event in 2020 that completely just, fucked our futures.
Was that when The Walking Dead ended? I have no idea. I've never watched that show. I'd never seen the comic either. I'm a big comic fan. And I'm a big Image comic fan, but I've still never read The Walking Dead, nor have I watched the TV show. True story.
But in regards to gaming, I'm seeing a shift. Companies that have overstaffed, overpromised, overspent, and underdelivered are now having to live with the consequences of those actions.
Course correction.
Staff cuts, re-envisioning of what their companies need to focus on.
Let's be honest. Gaming, especially amongst AAA studios, if you're spending a couple $100 million on a game to put a game out, it's too much money. It's just plain too much money. Whether your studio is too big and you've hired too many people, whether your development time is taking too long, whether you're paying each other all too much, whether your CEOs are making too much money, I don't know what exactly it is. But if your game costs in the hundreds of millions of dollars to make, it's too much. And eventually, when people's purse strings, for lack of a better word, when people's wallets tighten up and start to get thinner and they don't want to open them as much, right? People don't want to tap with their card, on the little debit machines. They don't want to do that anymore. They have to. Times are tough. Now we get a course correction because these companies cannot continue to throw that kind of money around. It's just a losing proposition. So what's happening is some of these companies are getting bought out and then folded, or bought out and then shrunk, or the companies are just shrinking themselves and getting rid of people that, and it's sad, but it's when times are good, and for a while times were good. I mean, the gaming industry had it really, really good in 2020 when there's a lot of people at home for a long time. And gaming just took off. And that encouraged companies to go out and hire more people and do all these different things and expand and put more money into games, not thinking about the fact that what happens when economies start to get bad, what happens when people are now back at work, don't have as much time, all that other stuff. wasn't all well thought out, and now people are paying the price, and they're losing their jobs and things, and it's sad, but it is a course correction, industry wide.
Which, like I've been saying for years now, is delivering solid games for good prices and not gouging the consumer. But here's the thing. I think people are starting to get hip to the game that the AAA space is no longer a viable spot for creativity, passion, and talent.
Amen.
COD is never going to focus on dialing back their monetization to make meaningful changes to their games. And for the people that can just hop on and enjoy the game for what it is, myself included in that, that's totally cool. Our expectations for these companies and corporations pushing the envelope have shifted. In my opinion, they've deteriorated almost completely. What I'm finding is gamers are starting to wake up to the fact that things are never going to be the same again. We're never getting Battlefield 3 again. As much as the recent EA earnings call would like us to believe that things are going well over there, they aren't, at least, in terms of what you and me are concerned about. DICE and EA, alongside all of these other major corporations, have a responsibility to their shareholders to continually drain your pockets of everything they can with cosmetics and battle passes.
This is true. This is very, very true. It's all about the money.
Passes and all of this other bullshit that we've been complaining about for over a decade, while doing as little as they can to innovate and create solid experiences like they did 20 years ago. And it's only going to get worse as the economy worsens, because money. As we spend less on fancy pink helmet skins and more on, groceries and mortgage payments, these companies are going to need to dig even deeper and figure out more ways to creatively incentivize you spending more money. Because in that same earnings call where Andrew Wilson, EA CEO, says that they're making investments in the future of the Battlefield franchise by building an expansive, community-focused Battlefield universe for fans, EA also posts a strong Q3 driven by EA Sports and live service titles. And
let's be honest, a lot of these gaming companies, I mean a lot of these gaming companies, don't care if you starve this month. They don't care. As long as you survive to the next month so you can continue to pay money to them. They don't care if you need the pink helmet. They don't care if you need the costume that makes you look like Howard the Duck. They don't care. They don't care if you're in the middle of a battle and you now have to buy ammo because you ran out. All they care about is that you give them more money. And if that means you can't eat or you can't make your mortgage payment or you now have to go rob a bank to support yourself. Please don't rob a bank, people. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. They just don't care. The economy is shit, right? The economy is shit. All over the world, the economy is shit. But yet these companies are still trying to take every last dollar for you. They don't care if you have to go in debt to feed your gaming habit. They don't care as long as money's going to them. They just don't care. You're only a dollar sign. And as soon as you figure that out, all of us figure that out and get it stuck into our heads right there, that we're only a dollar sign to them, the smarter we'll get with our purchases. And the smarter we'll be in life in general. Because people, I'm gonna lay it down for you right here, right now. This is a big thing. I know it's gonna shock many of you. You don't need to play every game that comes out. You don't need it. And if you're playing a game, you don't need to spend X amount of dollars on microtransactions in the game to make the game enjoyable. And if you have to keep spending to make the game enjoyable that you've already bought, you probably shouldn't play it. I mean, you probably, and when I say probably, I mean definitely should not be playing it. Honest to God, you shouldn't. Now, that doesn't mean you can't play it. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Maybe you've got disposable income. You don't give a shit. You're like, Dread, fuck off. I'm going to do whatever I want. Yeah, you totally can. But is it good for the gaming industry? Is it good for your fellow gamers? I mean, I know you don't care because you need to, purchase that chipmunk pet that follows you around in the game or get the extra inventory slot or whatever the hell you're doing. Glow-in-the-dark water bottle. I don't know. Backpack that looks like a Care Bear, because these things are important when you're in a World War II game or something, right? I don't know, but I'm saying what I'm saying, and maybe some of you are listening. I sure hope to God some of you are. And I'm not saying the rest of you are terrible human beings who aren't listening and who don't care. I'm speaking to the ones who do care, or the ones who maybe are waking up a little bit, hopefully. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I am trying to be a realist on the state of gaming and the state of humanity a little bit too.
Thus, there's the conundrum. Where they make money is where they focus their attention, like honestly any business would, right?
Yeah,
meaning the next Battlefield title will be designed from the ground up to support major microtransactions, cosmetic bundles, battle passes, the whole nine. And I think more people are getting fed up with the spending and incessant need for more and more transactional content when they're struggling to put food on the table. The game in the background that you guys are seeing is Out of Action, a game developed by one person that has a free demo out now. It's currently an offline arena shooter with bots where you can play around with a ton of different weapons, gadgets, and perks, diving in slow motion, throwing knives, and it's fucking awesome. It's going to be multiplayer in the future, and I've had an opportunity to do multiplayer tests in the past. If you guys haven't seen my videos on it, check it out. The game is fantastic, and you can play the demo right now for completely free. But a lot of the dialogue around this game and others in the space is that they're taking on the AAA space and putting them developers to shame. And honestly, I agree. See, Out of Action couldn't have been made at a AAA studio. It's too good. It's clearly got a design and a vibe that doesn't translate into AAA in 2024, meaning it's a little bit darker, it's a bit more gritty, with splashes of color and a nice cel-shaded vibe. But more importantly, it hasn't been built as a cosmetic delivery system solely for the purpose of draining your wallet.
Nice, a cosmetic delivery service. Sole purpose to drain your wallet. That's what many of these games are. They're a big flashing neon sign in front of a big hole in the wall where it says, throw your money here. That's pretty much what games are nowadays. Just being honest. I mean, you could still get enjoyment out of games, trust me. But some of you are getting into financial trouble with games right now. Yes, that's always been the case. There's always been the case. There's people who do get into financial trouble with games. I've been there before too. I do know what I'm speaking of a little bit. So I understand that. I think nowadays, probably a greater percentage. Can't tell you what the percentage is, but a greater percentage of people are finding financial difficulty in their gaming, which causes them either to cut back on their gaming or cut back on their transactions within gaming or cut back on the amount of games they purchase or the amount of time they spend playing said games, or it means they're taking money from somewhere else to keep up their gaming habit. Because gaming is addictive. And games are made, many games are made to be addictive, to keep you playing as long as possible. And again, I'm going to throw this one out here, and I know you don't like this analogy, but sometimes the devs come right out and tell you just need to play the game longer. Isn't that right, Bethesda?
I'm seeing videos from guys like Level Cap who are covering games like Operation Harsh Doorstop that's built out its modding platform to allow a bunch of different experiences to go on, and the game and the platform is completely free to play. Now, I will say I jumped in recently because I wanted to make a follow-up video, and I don't think the core experience is worth it yet. I can definitely see the appeal of games like this when you factor in all of those other elements. A video from Operator Drewski that just came out as I was writing the script for this video, where he covers a Star Wars mod for Squad that, in his own words, proves AAA games wrong. Tacti Gamer covering Out of Action, saying it's putting AAA devs to shame. The most recent release of Baldur's Gate 3, where the coverage of that game across the internet was that this is where AAA games need to be, at least from a quality perspective.
Yeah.
The shift has started.
Quality.
And I think because of the way the world is going.
But even then, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 spent a lot of time and a lot of money on that game. And I appreciate the game very, very much, but I'm telling you, games can't continue to cost that much money. They just cannot. Because if they do, and they're not a game with microtransactions, then what's going to happen is you're going to be paying $200 for the game. That's the problem. The games cost too much to make. how do they recoup that money? If you're not doing microtransactions, you're going to be paying through the arsehole for that game when you purchase it. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Games need to not cost as much money to be made, and that means partially smaller studios. That means maybe some people within the studios need to take less salaries and looking at the people at the top who are, making $100 million a year or whatever the hell they're making, some of these people. Some. They need to cut their salaries drastically. And you need to, I don't know what else. You guys jump down below and tell me, what else do gaming companies need to do to make games less expensive? And one of the things you're going to think of doing is the Bethesda model now. Put out an unfinished buggy game and don't bother to fix it. And call it a AAA Wonder Game of the Year, right? And tell people keep playing it longer.
The economy that is, in my opinion, completely failing, and we're on the brink of economic collapse. I think when it comes to video games and the projects that we decide to put our money towards, I think more and more people are going to be looking at cheaper indie titles to fill that void. And it's funny because I see companies like Ubisoft trying to appeal to that indie demographic by releasing games like The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which by all accounts I've heard is a fantastic title, but it's priced at a full whopping $79. And now Ubisoft employees, according to a report from Insider Gaming, are reportedly fearing mass layoffs as that game only reaches 300,000 players. And
if a game costs $79, then it's $100 for me here in Canada. There's not many games I'll pay that price for. I know Dragon's Dogma is going to be priced right about $100 Canadian or just below. That's going to be the most I've ever paid for a game when I buy that one. Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm not going to be looking to buy a bunch more $100 games, let's be honest. Not the next year or two, because there's only so many of those I can afford. I'm the guy who scours Steam and buys the on sale cheap games for $10 because I don't have disposable income. I just don't.
It apparently isn't going to make its money back. Ubisoft has Skull and Bones coming into open beta next week before its launch here in February, and the response and the morale there is at an all-time low. And I'm guessing that once Skull and Bones comes out, if it's what we're thinking it's going to be, which is a mediocre game in development hell for 10 years trash bag, those people are going to be looking for jobs sometime soon. I imagine the entire Singapore office, if Skull and Bones doesn't land well, is going to shudder. And jumping from EA to Ubisoft here, we can kind of take the same lessons. These guys are so void of creativity that in this Insider Gaming article about Ubisoft, it was reported that back in 2021 and at the beginning of 2022, Ubisoft had over a dozen battle royale games in development internally. A dozen. 12 battle royales. Ubisoft's reportedly not happy with the results of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. It had around 1.9 million players, which from my perspective is an insane amount of people. But according to them, it's poor numbers compared to previous games by Ubisoft Massive. Who would have thought? Assassin's Creed Mirage also didn't meet expectations, attracting a low 5 million.
Anybody else like me in Assassin's Creed games, or you play your first one and it's really cool at the beginning and you're like, hey, this is really neat. And then the further you get into the game, the more you're like, no, it's not so neat anymore. And then you buy your next one, it's like, hey, this is exactly like the other one. And you buy your third one and you're like, this is exactly like the other two games. It's like slapping a new skin on. There's nothing new. And you get caught up in the hype of the story at the beginning, but then it bogs down into the overall gameplay being a big turd. That's kind of my thoughts on Assassin's Creed.
Players. And it's clear to me now that cracks are starting to form in the AAA space. And in my opinion, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs because of this, and they already have. I think I read another article.
But it's not unfortunate. I mean, I mean, it's unfortunate because there's real people losing their jobs, but it's not unfortunate because it has to kind of happen. I mean, I don't want to lose my job. You don't want to lose your job. I get it. We empathize, we sympathize with people losing their jobs over this. And we're like, oh, but they were part of the studios that I liked, and I get it, but course correction has to happen. And this is only one way it can happen, but it's like the first or second salvo in the war here. The internal war of trying to fix this. It's the companies folding, the companies getting bought up. Then it's the staff getting laid off. Soon we're going to be to Microsoft saying to Todd Howard, look, your salary's too high. Those kind of things happening. That's coming. But probably between then and now is jacking up the prices of the games and seeing how consumers react to that. And hopefully consumers are smart about that and spend less.
Layoffs in the gaming space since the beginning of 2023, with, I want to say, 5,600 people being laid off in January alone. Yeah, the cracks are showing. And I think this is what we have been talking about.
It also shows how many people were employed, though. Too many to sustain over a long period of time.
About for years when we talk about the crash. Now, granted, the economy is in the shitter. This isn't just a gaming problem, like I said before. But when the economy goes down and you have an industry that, in my opinion, should be as strong as ever, when you take into account that the gaming industry makes more than like movies, music, and all other sources combined, how are we having this many layoffs? How are we having this much turnover? How are we having this many issues in an industry that has so much money flowing into it? And I think, again, when it comes to that shift in perspective, I think people are starting to realize just how mismanaged and fucked a lot of these companies are.
Yep.
And in my opinion, even though there's a lot
that is absolutely true. Mismanagement. And I don't mean a lady name whose last name is management. These companies have been mismanaged for so long, and they become party zones. We've heard some of the stories coming out of some of these companies about the inappropriate shit going on, because it's just big parties. And there's a reckoning for that kind of stuff. There's a reckoning, and this is part of it.
Bad tied to it, the doom and gloom, the loss of jobs, the restructure, all of that stuff. In my opinion, it's only a good thing, because if we have these companies that have for years now been going down this road that has led them to here, where we have been complaining and bitching and talking about it for as long as I can remember, they are at a point now where maybe, just maybe, they have the opportunity to re-envision and look at where they have gone and try to dial it back.
We can hope so, but I don't know.
I highly doubt it. I have no faith in the AAA space at this point.
With you, Big Fry.
But I'm hoping that perspective shift from the gaming side can help shine lights on smaller, independent projects that actually deserve our time. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to topple Call of Duty. Call of Duty's never going to die. Battlefield is always going to have a player base regardless. But if this industry shift can lead to more games like the finals, which in my opinion proves my point exactly. Embark Studios, a studio of like, what, I think LinkedIn has them listed at like 200 to 500 people, dropping bangers like the finals and working on ARC Raiders and not having to worry about the bloat that comes with a company like DICE, which I think LinkedIn has listed at what, like 500 to 1,000 people. So like double the size. Embark swings in and they're executing at a level that we haven't seen in the AAA space in quite a long time. And they're making games that actually resonate with the FPS space. If that industry shift can bring in more games like Pal World that has completely disrupted the industry, with people wondering like, huh, why is it so popular? How is this many people playing? It's because they're sick of Pokemon and Game Freak and Nintendo shoveling shit out every time. Like they're tired of it. If we can have more games like BattleBit that come in, disrupt the multiplayer space, and yeah, maybe they're struggling to keep that player base now, but let me tell you, BattleBit putting up a fight against the AAA space when it was made by 3 developers, the shift is happening. And while I can look around and see a lot of negativity and a lot of, people are fearing for their jobs. And the thing is, I think that bubble that we've been talking about in the tech space, I think it's bursting. And I am hoping that there is only good things to come from this. I know in the AAA space, it's wishful thinking. I've been playing a shit ton of Baldur's Gate recently. It's why I haven't been uploading as consistently. I'm not one to make videos on Baldur's Gate and stuff outside of the realm of like industry news and tactical shooters and early access stuff. But let me tell you, Baldur's Gate 3, game of the year last year, 100%. I totally get it. Yep. One of the best games that I've played in years. I am completely enthralled with it. It is throwing my work off, and I apologize. I'm back at it here. We're in February. I'm about to wrap the game up, probably tonight if I'm being...
All right, we covered enough of this. The original video by Big Fry TV will be linked down below. Please go check that out. My thanks to Big Fry, who made me hungry, but has a lot of good things to say that I definitely agree with. Hopefully this is an interesting conversation starter for all of you. I look forward to your comments down below. As always, I read all your comments. I respond to as many as I can. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to it, ringing the bell for notifications, leaving comments, liking the video. Drop down below and check out my links to my channels, because I don't only just have Mist Valley Entertainment News. I've also got Mist Valley Gaming and Mist Valley Mods. I've also got Mist Valley Gaming 01 over on Twitch. And I've got Mist Valley Discord. I'd love to have you join up to my Discord. I post all my stuff there and talk about all kinds of wild and crazy things. There's all kinds of great people there, including a whole bunch of other content creators you may be able to hook up with and find some new people to watch stuff from. Everybody, my name is Dredd. This is Mist Valley Entertainment News, and we've been taking a look at how the gaming industry is being destroyed right now. Thanks to Big Fry TV. Thanks to all of you. Ta-ta.